Hello, everyone. I want to do a quick video today over two of the writers that we've read recently, W.E.B. Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson. Both of them are African American, and they would have a great deal to say in their writings about African Americans and their place in America in the late 19th, early 20th century. W.E.B. Du Bois is a giant figure in the history of America. He was originally from Massachusetts, but he has an association with our state. He came to Fisk University to receive his bachelor's degree. He would later get degrees from Harvard and the University of Berlin. But his first degree was from Fisk University, which is a notable university in our state. It was the first university or college in the South to allow people to attend regardless of color. And it is, of course, famous for the Jubilee Singers of Fisk. They were very prominent in the 19th century. Many different people heard them sing. President Grant, Mark Twain, as well as Queen Victoria. In fact, the reason Nashville is called Music City today is because, at least we most likely think, it was due to a comment that Queen Victoria made after hearing the Fisk Jubilee singers sing. She said they must come from a city of music. The name would become more popular later on with the Grand Ole Opry, but that's the original meaning, or the original definition of Music City, is from Queen Victoria's comment about the Fisk University Jubilee Singers. Now, Du Bois arrived at Fisk a little bit later. He would have arrived later in the 19th century after the Jubilee Singers had already become quite popular. But he is going to go to Fisk. That's where he earns his bachelor's degree. And so he is associated with our state. It was the first time he'd come to the South was for college, going to attend Fisk University. Now, regarding what was assigned from the writing of Du Bois, we read an excerpt from his famous book, The Souls of Black Folk. Just a couple of places that I would like to point out to you. On page 934, he gives a definition of a term that is going to become quite prominent later on, and that is the idea of double consciousness. It's the idea that African Americans had to be conscious of their own selves, but also the self that they had to present to larger society, and in particular, white society. And so he talks about that on page 934. It is this peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, of measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. And so that's the idea of double consciousness. That's one of the things that Du Bois is known for, is defining that idea that African Americans had to, be aware of their own authentic selves, but also a self that they then had to also produce to make, the wider culture more comfortable, to make white people more comfortable around them because of all the racism that was prevalent in this time period. And then another place I would like us to point out to, oh, uh, in the ratings that were assigned is Du Bois and his conflict with another great African American thinker of the time period, Booker T. Washington. That they were rivals. Du Bois disagreed with Washington's idea that African Americans should forget a lot of their other goals and instead focus on industrial education. Du Bois said industrial education is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It can be beneficial, but it's not going to solve all our problems, like Booker T. Washington says. And he kind of gives a rundown on that on page 944. He has a couple of different lists here on 944 and 945. He talks about that Mr. Washington, Booker T. Washington says, he says we should not focus on political power. We should not focus on an insistence on civil rights. We should not focus on higher education. And Du Bois disagrees with that. Du Bois says we should focus on political power, we should focus on civil rights, we should focus on higher education. And he says, the fact that we've lost focus on those things, we have seen disenfranchisement occur, we have seen a creation of a distinct status of inferiority in the law, and we've seen a withdrawal of aid for institutions of higher learning because we have, not we're following Booker T. Washington. That's not working out for us. So that is kind of one of the things that he addresses in this work, the souls of the Black folk. Um, you can read Du Bois's argument for why the methods of Booker T. Washington are not effective, and why there should be a focus on things like higher education, civil rights, gaining political power. So that's just a little preview of Du Bois. With James Weldon Johnson, I just had a very brief reading that you were assigned of Johnson. Johnson is going to be a figure who is going to be very influential on the Harlem Renaissance that is going to come later. He will be a great influence on a lot of the thinkers and artists of that time period. Uh, the reading that you had of Johnson's is Lift Every Voice and Sing on page 1049. And I would encourage you go to YouTube and look up some of the different performances of Lift Every Voice and Sing. It is usually performed at the Super Bowl every year. It has become known as the African American national anthem. It was known as that from the very beginning, and kind of became, in the last 5 years or so, it has been a part of the Super Bowl. So there's usually a chorus or an individual who's brought in to sing that song at the poem that becomes a song in at the beginning of the Super Bowl every year. So you can find them on YouTube. I'd encourage you, go and give them a listen. It's a great song. It's based on Johnson's poetry, and I think it was significant from the very get-go. It was declared the African American national anthem as a result. So. That's all on those two writers, and I should be posting soon about our next two as well. Thank you.